Hey, what's up? It's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and I'm coming at you with a video today that has me a little concerned, and I wanted to share with you what's going on and make sure we get the word out about this, because I think this is something that most collectors are not going to be okay with. So what am I talking about? Not everybody may be familiar with the situation, but basically you had DC jump ship from Diamond Distribution last year, and currently they're being carried by Lunar. Now, Marvel has followed something similar. They kind of announced this back in late spring, and they said that they were going to leave Diamond Distribution as well, and they were going to be distributed by Penguin Random House. Now, Penguin you're probably familiar with them. They're a huge book publisher and distributor, so they have a lot of experience distributing books. So a lot of people thought this might be a good thing. They were pretty excited, but there were some pretty cool announcements like free shipping to retailers, which was pretty cool, and a lot of promise that they were going to take better care of the books and do things like create special packaging just for the comic books. So a lot of people had a lot of reason to be really excited. We already saw pretty decent results from Lunar by most accounts. Every retailer is going to have a little bit different opinion on each of these different distributors, so let's keep that in mind. But a lot of people were pretty impressed with Lunar, so a lot of people had these high hopes for Penguin. Now, historically, Diamond has had a lot of issues shipping comic books damaged. The way that they ship has been pretty subpar. Let's call it that. There's a really good video over on Economics and Comics that he released on Saturday, going over the details of opening up one of these Penguin shipments. He shows what Diamond's packaging looks like for a comparison. I'll go over some examples later as well, but I really recommend checking out his video. Yes, he's another YouTuber, but he's also a retailer. He has his own store, economicsandcomics.com. Go check that out and see what you think about that video. I'll put a link up above so you can go check it out. We saw tons of promises from Penguin and Marvel that we were going to get better dedicated comic book shipping and packaging. There's gonna be a lot of care taken to take care of the product. And there's even some promo videos. I'll probably throw a link in the description below where you can go see them talking about that on an announcement call. So one retailer has agreed to let me share some photos. And like I said, you can check out Billy's video over at Economics and Comics if you want to see some other examples of what this looks like on a large shipment, on another large shipment. But yeah, these are the pictures I have to show. So we'll go over those in detail. But trust me, I have seen lots of examples, ones that I don't necessarily have permission to share, so I'm not going to. That are way worse and that are pretty bad from several retailers. These could be isolated incidents. That's possible, but it doesn't seem very likely at this point. All right, so let's dive in and take a look at these pictures that this retailer sent me. You can see already that we got some damage to the top of the box. This happens during every type of shipment these days. I mean, you have to expect your box is going to get torn up. The thing is, there's no padding inside this box, as you'll see. So any damage to the outside of the box can easily be transferred to the comics that are inside the box. So this box is essentially slightly larger than the dimensions of a modern comic book. So you'll see a little bit more later on what I'm talking about, but I just kind of want to give you some kind of sense of scale of what we're looking at here. This box is essentially, if you laid a comic book flat inside of it, it would be a little bit larger height and width wise. So we have packing paper on top, and you can see below that there is like a cardboard divider. In theory, that could work. That could be a good practice. Okay, so here we kind of start to see some of the problems. So we have these comic books that are stacked in here, and you can see that there is space around the comic books, pretty much on all four sides. So what's going to happen during that comic book during shipment is every shift, what those corners and that spine are going to be doing is rubbing on the outside of that box. And if a corner of this box were to dent in, or the side of it, you would see all that force transferred directly to the comic books, which would damage them. Here you can see that just a huge gap on the side, and that comic book is probably not in good shape. It's probably got some significant amount of spine roll. I think we actually see that comic book later on, I'm pretty sure. So at the bottom of most of the boxes, although not all of them, we have seen like this cardboard kind of floor. I know CGC was using these for a while in their boxes. And that's a good sign. I mean, that should help protect the bottom, but the top isn't as protected as the bottom, which is kind of interesting. Like, boxes are definitely not kept right side up the entire time during shipment. That just doesn't happen. So this is where it gets gnarly, guys. I mean, think about it. Yeah, it's a black cover, but black covers are pretty common. Look at how bad the rubbing is on the spines, and how bad the corners are blunted from all that shifting inside that package. For all the boasting about the carton being, the perfect carton to ship comic books, this is not good. And think about it, they had months to prepare for this launch. Yes, it's a 1 week sample size from what we've seen the examples of so far, and things could definitely get better. That's my sincere hope. But this is just terrible. There's no chance in hell of getting a 9.8 on any of these books. And here, I think this is the comic book we could see from that first top-down photo. This Defenders here, you can just see bad spine roll. You can see a really bad spine ding right there and there, it looks like. Just not in good shape. And so this is the interesting part to me, is they include this, this carton's been packed by, which is kind of common in today in shipping and logistics. But this note also, see if I can zoom in a little bit on this. Thank you for trusting Penguin Random House with your Marvel comic book shipments. We're excited to offer our best in-class supply chain services to this direct market. We understand the value placed on the damage. We understand the value placed by you on damage-free shipments and have made every best effort to select the appropriate carton and packing material for shipping comic books product to minimize damages. If you receive damages in this shipment, and then it kind of goes through the contact and claim process, the following information that's needed. Keep in mind they need the UPCs and the quantities, the name listed on the package slip. So a lot of information. A lot of retailers are going to be supplying all that information to Penguin here this week. So this is a ratio that was included in that shipment for this retailer. So ratios, think about it. The retailer, this is kind of their bread and butter. This is how a lot of retailers make money, because there's not a whole lot of money. There's barely any margin on new comic books. So when a retailer gets these ratios, if they're a hot ratio or they're expensive, the retailer pays cover price for this ratio because they ordered so many copies of the original covers or whatever's required for this particular issue. So hunting down on the invoice which issue this is, this information is not reader friendly by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, you can tell what the title is, but think about it. If you had dozens of these sheets and hundreds of items, line items, and you're digging through that, that's going to take a lot of time, especially for how many damages we just saw in this shipment. So this particular ratio is damaged. So this retailer wanted to go and see about filing a claim. It's the variant, and it's ineligible for a claim. So this retailer can't proceed, at least not automatically. Maybe there's some way to manually contact Penguin Random House about this, but they're blocked from moving forward with the claim through the automated process that Penguin set up here. That's not right. Those ratios are important to retailers. They need to be taken care of. So this is an example of a Diamond shipment. And this kind of just proves the point, Diamond's not perfect. A lot of these Gun Honey comics were damaged. They also were on terrible paper too, by the way. And the way that this shipment is set up, all these comic books were filled up, that's kind of the top of the box. But this side, they just packed a couple, expensive comic books on this side just by themselves, just free floating in there, which is not good. And then I think there's a later picture here that shows, there was some like packing material in there like that. But even then, that's not enough to protect those comic books. They could easily go flopping around and get damaged as well. You can see the color rub on these. So this is just to go to say that Diamond has its own share of issues. It's not like Diamond was perfect or anything like that. And I believe this is a Lunar shipment. And you can see here, Lunar at least took backing boards and they tried to preserve the quality of these comic books by filling in the gaps and then separating it so that you didn't have spines rubbing up against the exterior edge of the comic books, which is commendable. I'm not saying that's perfect, but it's definitely better than what we've seen examples of so far. So this is scary for any comic book fan. I mean, you might say like, oh, but I don't care about 9/8 because I don't get my comic books graded. And that's fine. It's okay if you don't get your comic books graded. But most comic book collectors care about the quality of their comic books. They probably put their comic books in bags and boards. They try to protect them. A lot of people that like raw comic books still like high grade raw comic books. Even if they still want to be able to open their book, they want it to be in good shape. And then there's people out there that are like, oh, I just read the comic books and I don't care what condition it's in. That's fine. I guess this video isn't for you, but for most of us, I think it's pretty safe to say that we care about the condition of the comic books. And this is just unacceptable. I am not the kind of person, I don't ask people in my videos to like and subscribe. I don't do that. But I would ask you to kind of like this video, to share it. I really want to send a message to Marvel and to Penguin Random House that this is not acceptable for most comic book collectors. We expect better, and not just comic book collectors, comic book retailers. These are businesses that need to survive, and if their quality starts getting such that they can't sell the books, that's going to be a serious problem for retailers. Not only that, it's going to cost them a ton of time and money to get these replacements. Customers aren't going to wait for some retailers to issue their replacements because it's going to take time. It's going to take time for them to submit all the claims on these replacements. There are people that are like, well, maybe people can just still order from Diamond and therefore completely bypass Penguin Random House. I don't know definitively if that's true. There's a really good chance that Penguin is still going to be supplying to Diamond. It's also possible that Marvel could supply to Diamond and then they could send out their stuff kind of the old-fashioned way, right? The way that we're used to getting them. But it's scary to me when Diamond looks good for packing and shipping their comics compared to the competition, especially on this new deal that we're being told is going to be great for comics retailers and comic book collectors, and that we're all supposed to be excited about. It is week 1. There is every chance that this could be a fluke and something could have happened, but think about it. They've had months to prepare for this kind of this release to retailers. They sent out thank you comic books, 1 per store retailer exclusives in mailers, bagged and boarded, got everybody excited about what's to come. I'm not saying every comic necessarily needs to come bagged and boarded. It'd be nice, but I'm not saying that's the case. But this is insane, guys. Like, I say goodbye to 9/8, at least until this gets fixed. Hopefully we can send a loud enough message to fix this early in the process and get everybody at Marvel and Penguin on board with making our comic books arrive in better shape again. That's really what I want to see out of all this. Hopefully that's the case. So again, I would appreciate you sharing this video and liking and commenting and all that stuff to try to generate some spotlight on this issue so we can get everybody to be aware of this and what kind of a problem it is. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of retailers that are going to be talking about this over the next week. So thanks very much for watching this video, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope we can get Marvel and Penguin to work together to fix this problem and this becomes a blip on the wonderful road ahead of us. We shall see. Until then, I want to remind you, as always, hey, read comics every day.